Hello, I'm the... whatchamacallit... Yeah, okay, I got this. You can call me Sloth. Or you can call me Pride, if you're feeling fancy. Just don't call me Sin or he'll kick my ass. Let's see, what did I want to talk about? Ah, yes. Ludonarrative dissonance. But not really. Everyone on the internet knows what that is, and I have a sleep schedule to keep. So let's just move on. This isn't even the real topic anyway, I just wanted to get it out of the way. My focus is just dissonance. In game, in story, in fiction. Something that feels off. Something that doesn't fit. Something that distorts the story in some way. The ludonarrative kind certainly fits those criteria, sure. It can be hard to keep up with the charade of someone like Nico Bellic seeking a way out of his criminal life when you spend all day blowing up pedestrians and or cops. But that term is also too narrow for my taste, so I arbitrarily dropped the ludonarrative part and I'm gonna stick to that. For today's example, I'll be using one of the most beloved characters from my childhood, because I'm basic like that. Her name is...
Lady Aribeth de Tilmarand, paladin in the service of Tyr, and the right hand of Nasha Alagondar, Lord of Neverwinter.
First, some actual context. Let's start with character creation. How you create your character will most likely determine how the story interacts with them and how important they really are to the plot. But wait, isn't that the other way around? Yes, if you focus on the unimportant shit. Customize your appearance? Cute. Select class and skills? Who cares? What about your backstory? In pen and paper, you have mostly free reign to make up any character and backstory you want and let the GM deal with it. Maybe some innocent detail you put in for fun will come back to bite you in the ass on session 47. Maybe it won't. That is up to the game master, since, if they're doing their job right, the story is, at least partially, unwritten until it happens. Sure, the ruins of ancient civilization that your family has been seeking for generations weren't located under some random house in the slums. But that was yesterday. Today, you have to deal with an ancient lich thrice your level. Have fun! Unfortunately, that won't work in a video game since the story is very much already written and can accommodate all of your bullshit. What's the solution? Well, depends on who you ask. Some games let you write your own backstory that is 100% inconsequential to the actual plot. That way you get the full experience of creating your OC, but as a downside, your character might feel disconnected from the narrative. It can make you almost completely reactive, since you have no previous connection to anything important, and so your personal stakes are lowered. The narrative lacks a central figure to focus on. There's only a big hole left in its place, so that you can put your own abominable character in there. From the classics, think Icewind Dale or Temple of Elemental Evil. You are undeniably invested in stopping the big bad trademark, but ask yourself this: do you really care? Of course you care, the world's at stake. But do you really though? Another approach is to sacrifice some of your freedom and force a backstory on you, or at best let you choose from a set of predetermined ones. That way, you can't fully roleplay your Dhampir changeling hiding among civilized people as a halfling shadow monster, but on the other hand the story can get much more personal from the get-go. Sticking to the classics, that would be like Baldur's Gate or Planescape Torment. And where does Neverwinter Nights fit into all of this? Nowhere. And everywhere. That's my point. Allow me to elaborate. In Neverwinter Nights, you play as an invincible time-controlling demigod sent by the Hells and Heavens to push the plot forward. Like they starry, only if Valar grew tired of giving a shit. You can raise your power faster than anything alive. You can leave the flow of time and take a day-long rest to replenish your energy, while the world around you is oblivious to how you manage to always stay in top condition. and you didn't exist before the game started, no matter what you wrote in that personal story window. I, naturally, created an idealized version of myself, a raccoon. But that doesn't matter for now, back to the topic. The important part is that, for the purpose of the story, your character comes into existence shortly before you take control. Your backstory? Irrelevant. As far as the game world is concerned, you are just another faceless nobody attending the Hero Academy. Only you are slightly more talented than the others. That, of course, would put Neverwinter Nights into the first category. Games that give you freedom at the expense of storytelling. With one little caveat. To help get my point across, let me summarize the story of Neverwinter Nights. Spoilers. You are a hero in training. One of the many hoping to achieve greatness under the tutelage of Lady Aribeth de Tilmarand. And some other unimportant schmucks. The city is in deep shit, because plague. And Aribeth hopes you low-level scraps will help her clean this up. How are the trainee heroes supposed to contribute anything when the cure was already found? Don't ask questions. The potential cure for the plague is being kept in the academy, guarded by Aribeth de Tilmarand. But it gets stolen. Kinda. Lady Aribeth sends you to retrieve the cure, while she and her priest boyfriend help the plague-ridden citizens... somehow? I don't know, I think they're just fucking around all day. You retrieve the cure for Aribeth, but it gets stolen again, along with her boyfriend. That makes her sad. And she sends you to get them both back. She can't go herself because plot reasons. You get the cure, but Aribeth's boyfriend is branded a traitor and executed. That makes her really sad. Aribeth takes you and a token spy character to hunt down whoever is responsible for this. You find out it was the mages, which is fortunate because the token spy knows black magic. More on that at the end. The mages serve an old lizard. The lizard convinces Aribeth that maybe the people who executed her boyfriend were responsible for his death all along. Aribeth goes 3/4 of Anakin Skywalker. She betrays her master, she falls to the dark side, and she lays siege to the city she swore to protect. But she doesn't personally slaughter any children. She uses trebuchets to do that remotely. Anyway, the old lizard is sleeping under Neverwinter and astrally projecting herself to her followers. She wants them to take the city and properly wake her up, since her alarm clock is thousands of years overdue. We don't want that. That's why we go around looking for magic bullshit to put her to sleep for good. After returning to the city, we still lack one final piece of magic bullshit. Guess who has it? Aribeth. You fight her, you kill her. Or, if you sweet-talked her enough in chapter 2, you put her in jail. You go fight the lizard. On the way you meet Aribeth's alt account from a different server and get a useless medal. Or you kill her as well. Then you kill the lizard and the game ends. I may have used some artistic license with the story, but if you paid any attention, you may have noticed that there's one name that comes up quite a bit. That's because, unlike most games with free backstory policy, Neverwinter Nights does have a central character around which the story revolves. It's just not your character. If you'll allow me an awfully contrived allegory, the ideal scenario when playing a role-playing game is like riding a bike. You are provided with the tools to move forward, but you are in full control over the pace and direction the story takes. The GM's job is to paint the world around you as you go, and put the signs along the road. Of course, usually it's like riding a bike for 5 people where everyone has their own steering wheel and pedals only when they feel like it, while the GM hits you with a bat if you stray too far from the main road. In that way, Neverwinter Nights is like driving a car. Aribeth sits behind the wheel, and you are the engine. You are, without a doubt, very crucial to moving the story forward, but you have no control over the direction. And while it's not by any means a new technique to take this control away from the player, it's not every day when that control is then basically given to a single, mostly friendly NPC. The villain, yes, sometimes. Often even. But not a companion or ally. We need to kill Fendig to create tension, but wouldn't the player character have something to say on this? They may want to protest or something. Good thing we have the second protagonist to decide for them. And I'm not going to call her Deuteragonist. Yeah, I know how to use Google, because that's not what she is. Would the main character really rush to Port Last to continue the investigation? What reason would the PC have to do that? Good thing the second main character already took them with her. If we implement the side quest where player can comfort Aribeth after Fentik's death, wouldn't it be weird if she still falls to the dark side just like that? Good thing she decided to go crazy anyway! And there are still a few places where this game does it the old-fashioned way. Like when you are forced to take Dester prisoner, whether you like it or not. When it really matters, however, it's usually Aribeth. And it's somehow more infuriating that way. Let's take the first big example, Fentik's execution. His only crime was, by any measure, negligence. He had faith in his fellow priest and didn't recognize the fact that said priest was actually the enemy all along. Since false Helmites were responsible for the wailing death, this oversight should warrant a punishment, sure. Should it warrant a capital punishment? What about everyone else's oversight? What about Nasher and Aribeth, who got convinced by Fentik and welcomed Dester into the city? What about Aringant, who apparently forgot how to spy and didn't do a background check on this convenient band of priests? Should they also hang from the tree? Was Fentik just a useful scapegoat for the higher-ups? I would like a chance to ask that. I would like to roleplay someone who's fed up with the City Lord's bullshit and wants answers. Alas, I am not the main character at this time, so I am not afforded such an opportunity. I am informed, in a cutscene, that Aribeth was very sad, very displeased with this decision, but decided to keep quiet for the proverbial greater good. And I am left to assume that my character followed suit. It is at this point that you start to understand that the Blue Mages had the right idea to fuck off to the east. As I have already pointed out, the majority of other big plot points in this story also happen without your input, or even despite your actions, and are usually decided by Aribeth. Continuing the story from chapter 1 may feel natural, as you are still the game's protagonist, unless you are playing a chaotic neutral rogue who was only in it for the money and, supposedly, just got paid. Why would you stick around then? Is the reward really good enough to drag your ass all the way to Luskan? I don't know, but Aribeth wanted you to go with her so you won't complain, right? Then there is the quest in chapter 2. Don't get me wrong, I love this quest, because I love Aribeth, despite me whining about her for this entire video. Yes, she's a bit blunt, but I don't care, you don't betray your first waifu. Okay, there is a side quest in chapter 2 that has you periodically return to Aribeth and talk about feelings. It is essentially a drawn-out exposition dump about her character and backstory. Considering how important she is to the plot, it always boggled my mind that this is a 100% skippable side quest. Sure, the game tries to railroad you into it the first chance it gets, but you can completely ignore it. In that quest, you talk with her. You talk with her a lot. You talk about how she is, understandably, really fucking unhappy about everything that happened. Like watching her boyfriend get hanged for flimsy reasons. And you can be supportive, or you can be indifferent, or you can be a cold-hearted dick. The game definitely expects you to be supportive, of course, in which case Aribeth will gift you with a special friendship ring at the end, and your BFF status will be secured. It's also another example of you have no power here, because she's going straight from "thank you for helping me in this trying time" to murder happy death guard in 10 minutes. Okay, maybe like 20. To be fair, it's clear she's back to being unwell the last time you speak with her in this side quest. So before her full-on betrayal. The problem is, if you went the BFF route, until this point it seemed like she was actually getting better. But then she decided not to. Because Blizzard mind magic. After that, Aribeth doesn't make decisions for you, since there are no decisions to be made. She is now on the evil team, and you go to the standard formula of reacting to their plot. And then she dies. Or not. While her boss fight cannot be avoided, because she decided to fight you, her fate is the one thing you can decide for yourself. Aribeth is super hellbent on having your character kill her, But if you put enough points into diplomacy, or got the BFF ring on you, you can convince her otherwise. It's not a big change. If she's alive, then you can talk to her for a bit before going to the final area. Still, it's something. Also, there's this alternate reality non-Aribeth that you meet, and the dialogue there seems to be written under the assumption that you have killed your Aribeth, but I'm getting sleepy again, so let's not. Actually, I think that's most of what I wanted to say. I don't think Aribeth is bad. Her role in the narrative is just weird. It's like the devs wanted the best of both worlds. Full freedom of character creation and a focused character-centered plot. Only that doesn't work as well if the central character isn't the one you control. And that's it. So good night. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, yeah, the expansions. There's this little thing called Hordes of the Underdark. Not a big deal. You can kill Satan at the end. And you chat with the Reaper regularly. You know, the usual. It's only relevant because the starting location is Waterdeep, the same city that was the original source of the cure for the Wailing Death. That and you meet Aribeth in Hell. Literal Hell. Home of the damned souls. 8th Circle to be precise. The frozen one, for traitors. Aribeth went there after her execution, either by your character or Lord Nasher presumably, and I don't have much to say about it. Don't get me wrong, I like Hordes and I like having Aribeth as a proper companion, and I romance her every time, because I'm basic like that, but she doesn't distort the plot around her this time. For years, I thought meeting her was unavoidable because she's a quest NPC in the main story. She's not. Technically, she is required to do the main quest the correct way, that is, to answer the 5 mysteries of the Sleeping Man, but, you know, there are other ways. As a companion, she is completely skippable and therefore has no further impact on the narrative. She's just neat, that's all. Okay, that's enough. I want to turn this into a series, but there's no rush. You know, my sleep schedule is pretty tight after all. Until next time, whenever that might be. Good night. Oh, alright, that bit about black magic. Unfortunately, I can't recreate this to show you. I guess it got patched, and I can't be fucked to look for my boxed version. If you talked to a Ringent at any point, including chapter 4, his music would start playing. That's normal. However, if you made him hostile and dragged him to the dungeon, he would use some black magic sorcery to make his music play there permanently. It would stay like this even if you dragged him back up to Lord Nasher. That's his magic power. He could glitch the soundtrack once upon a time. Good night.